Good evening and welcome to California Today, covering top news in the Golden State. I'm Daniel Hall. Let's take a look at today's stories. The state's high-speed rail project is increasing its price tag again. An additional $5 billion is getting tacked on to the total estimated cost to finish the project. A state assemblywoman introduced new legislation, which she calls the California Parents' Bill of Rights. It comes after parents were introduced to what goes on in their children's classrooms after 2 years of online learning. The governor signed a sick leave bill this morning along with other legislation. The bills intend to extend the COVID-19 paid sick leave period and funding for the economy. NTD's David Lamb reports.
On Wednesday morning, Governor Gavin Newsom signed legislation extending supplemental paid sick leave for workers and expanding COVID-19 relief for small businesses.
That's $6.1 billion. That's on top of what we did just a few months ago. It wasn't that long ago. We did a $6.2 billion tax relief for small businesses.
The bill requires employers in California to offer up to 2 weeks sick leave pay for employees for absence due to the CCP virus, also known as COVID-19. This covers the period between January 1st to September 30th of this year. The bill applies to businesses with more than 26 employees, but others have warned of the consequences to employers.
Johnny Pina, a spokesperson for the local government advocacy group California League of Cities, said the league takes a concerning position on the extended paid sick leave legislation. Pina said during public comment, "We have concerns in some of the language contained in this measure that creates even more administrative burdens and costs to public employers." Budget Committee Vice Chair and State Assemblyman Vince Fong, representing Bakersfield, cross-examined the authors of the bill's framework. He asked, "So whatever cost was incurred in the previous bill would be incurred again, but we now would know with no offset?" The bill's spokesperson responded that there would be no tax credit offset for employers like previous bills had. During the press conference, Newsom sidestepped the question about government supporting businesses that had to pay for employees' sick leave. Labor unions praised the bill during a Monday hearing, while opponents said it will burden businesses during their recovery from previous shutdowns. Others have brought up the issue of accountability after the state's attempt to recover billions of dollars of fraudulent COVID unemployment claims flopped. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
Bay Area counties are updating their indoor masking requirements. Most counties are in agreement about whether or not to keep their mask mandates, all counties except for Santa Clara County.
But ultimately, our job is to follow the science, to keep our community as safe as possible, and to ensure that we continue to protect the people who are most vulnerable. To do this, we cannot lift the indoor mask requirement with community transmission as high as it is right now.
Dr. Cody says the county needs to see a high vaccination rate, low hospitalizations, and the 7-day case average must be below 550 cases per day. Until the county meets those requirements, Santa Clara County will keep the masking requirement. The county is the only one in the Bay Area not lifting its indoor mask requirement. The other 10 Bay Area counties announced that they will lift universal mask requirements for most indoor public settings beginning Wednesday, February 16th. San Francisco Mayor London Breed took to Twitter to say the change will only apply to vaccinated people. Unvaccinated individuals in San Francisco still need to mask up indoors. These decisions come as Governor Gavin Newsom announced that the statewide indoor mask mandate will expire on February 15th.
Along with Northern California updating its mask mandates, Southern California is seeing changes as well. Much of the state is looking forward to mask mandates going away, but Los Angeles County is expecting to keep theirs. The health director cited stricter requirements to consider the region as post-surge.
Los Angeles County will not follow the state's guidelines to end mask mandates for vaxxed individuals. The county's Department of Public Health will delay dropping mask mandates for anywhere from weeks to months later. At a February 8th Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors meeting, Public Health Director Barbara Ferrer restated the requirements for dropping the mask mandates. The county needs to record less than 2,500 hospitalizations for 7 consecutive days to drop outdoor mask mandates. Indoor mandates will require either lower transmission rates or vax availability for children under 5. The continued mandates come after Governor Gavin Newsom announced upcoming changes on February 7th. He said through Twitter that vaxxed individuals will not need to wear masks indoors starting February 15th. Newsom cited the rapid decline in Omicron cases. Most Southern California counties like San Bernardino, Orange, San Diego, and Riverside plan to drop the mandate, but Los Angeles County says it will set its own rules.
Costs for California's high-speed rail project are increasing again. Another $5 billion is being added to the total price tag with no track being laid down yet. NTD's Eileen Ng brings us more.
According to the California High-Speed Rail Authority's estimates released Tuesday, it could take $105 billion to finish the route from San Francisco to Los Angeles. The authority's biennial business plan cited minimizing community disruption for the updated cost. This includes distancing the train from the Cesar E. Chavez National Monument in the Central Valley and tunneling tracks near the Burbank Airport. The project's price tag has steadily risen since 2008, when the total cost was $40 billion. Since then, the costs have kept climbing amid struggles to get the necessary land, as well as other delays. Today, the rail authority is far short of the money it needs to complete the full project. No track has been laid yet, but the authority has obtained 90% of the land it needs for the first segment, and more than half of the full 500-mile route is now environmentally cleared. Construction for the first part of the line is underway on a 119-mile segment from Merced to Bakersfield, where trains are tested before they carry passengers. In a statement, Assemblyman Jim Patterson said, "Given the embarrassing failures this project has raked up, I'd be surprised if the feds decide to throw more money at it." During the Obama administration, California won roughly $3.5 billion for the project. Then former President Trump revoked about $1 billion of that. The Biden administration has returned those funds. The project expects to receive more money from the Biden administration and the state. CEO Brian Kelly said, "This is a great opportunity to really move the project forward." Eileen Ang, NTD News, California.
While Southern California grapples with rising homicide rates, Northern California is also seeing a number of deaths. San Jose saw its first homicide over the year, along with an increase in traffic collision-related deaths.
San Jose's first homicide happened on Tuesday afternoon after a suspect stabbed the victim.
Yesterday afternoon, approximately 3:17 p.m., officers responded to a call of a stabbing that happened in the 1600 block of Toy Road near the parking lot of the Carl's Jr. that's in the area there. Apparently, a suspect still unidentified and unknown, and the victim got in an altercation. The victim was stabbed at least one time and soon after was transported to a hospital.
Police said officers and paramedics performed life-saving measures until the man was taken to a hospital where he died from his injuries. A potential suspect and motive is still unknown. The incident is currently under investigation. The death ended one of the longest stretches that San Jose has gone to start the year without recording a homicide. Last year, the city's first killing was reported on January 9th. In 2021, San Jose recorded 40 homicides in the city. San Jose police investigated 31 cases. The Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office investigated the other 9 from the VTA rail yard mass shooting. However, the leading source of public safety deaths in San Jose this year involves the city's roadways. 12 people have died in traffic collisions in 2022, surpassing the 4 traffic collision deaths recorded in the same time frame last year.
A new bill supporting parents' rights for how their children are educated came into the state legislature this week. It was introduced after parents saw what their children were being taught through online learning.
Assemblywoman Lori Davies, representing Laguna Niguel, introduced new legislation supporting parental rights in the state. During the February 7th press conference, she said she will fight for parents' rights about school choice, access to academic records, and autonomy over the child's health care.
During these last 2 years, Sacramento politicians have ignored the needs of our children and used our kids as a political pawn. It makes no sense to punish our children when the adults don't abide by their own mandates.
Davies' new legislation is titled the California Parents' Bill of Rights. The bill will make it easier for parents to decide what religious and moral teachings the students receive, taking vaccinations and wearing masks.
We know that parents always make the best decisions for their children, not the districts.
The bill would require schools to provide more opportunities for parents to sit in on classes. Parents would also be better informed on how to opt out of sex education.
We have to be vigilant as parents, as community members, in being aware of what's happening and call out things that are not right.
Lisa Davies, a trustee for the Capistrano Unified School District, said after 2 years of online learning, parents have a better idea of what's being taught in class. She described it as a small silver lining of online learning.
Every parent is given the right to make the decision they deem best to protect the health and welfare of their children, not Sacramento politicians.
Davies' bill may face challenges in the California legislature from a Democratic supermajority. However, she said she is pushing parents to raise their voices about the state's actions that have directly impacted their children.
Coming up, nearly 27,000 Tesla vehicles were issued a recall, citing visibility concerns due to decreased defrosting performance. It's the third recent software-related recall for the car maker. That and more here on NTD News. Last night, the Oakland Unified School Board voted to close or consolidate multiple schools due to declining enrollment. In response, the community voiced their opposition.
The school board voted to close about a dozen schools in Oakland. School board director Mike Hutchinson, who voted against the plan, told Cron 4 News the motion to close the schools happened a month ago. The motion came when 5 other board directors approved a resolution that directed the superintendent to create a list of schools to close. He argued the district has the money to keep the schools open. At a news conference, local members of the State Assembly and Oakland City Council joined Oakland teachers and parents to rally against school closures.
When we close down these schools, it's just not closing down a building. It's closing off access to leaders that our children believe in, mentors to our children, safe spaces to our families.
The teachers union also plans to file a complaint. If the motion is approved, many of the schools would close at the end of the school year.
The University of California has agreed to pay almost $250 million to settle allegations of sexual abuse. Hundreds of women say they were abused by a former UCLA gynecologist. Attorneys in the case represented 203 women who said they were groped or otherwise abused by Dr. James Heaps over his 35-year career. The lawsuit said the university ignored decades of complaints and that they deliberately concealed the abuses. The lawsuit is one of the hundreds filed that allege abuse by Heaps. UCLA settled a similar lawsuit last year for $73 million. UCLA began investigating Heaps in 2017. He retired after the school declined to renew his contract. Heaps was also criminally charged last year with 21 counts of sexual offenses involving 7 women. He has pleaded not guilty and denied wrongdoing. As if one abuse case in Los Angeles wasn't enough, a former aide is accusing the mayor of perjury. She says that he covered up multiple instances of one of his staff members' sexual misconduct. The mayor's office denied the allegations in a letter. A former spokeswoman for Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti is demanding he be charged with perjury. She says he denied knowing about a former aide's alleged sexual conduct. The spokeswoman, Naomi Seligman, worked as Garcetti's communications director from 2015 to 2017. She accused Garcetti of committing perjury and conspiring with staff to cover up over a dozen cases of sexual conduct by his chief of staff, Rick Jacobs. Writing, "A picture is worth 1,000 words," a photo of Jacobs with Garcetti and an unidentified man were submitted in a letter last week. Law firm Whistleblower Aide sent the 31-page letter to the Department of Justice, the California Attorney General, and the LA County District Attorney on her behalf. In December, Seligman published a letter in New York Magazine in which she alleged Jacobs forcefully kissed her in 2016. When she told Garcetti's then Chief of Staff Ana Guerrero, Seligman says he blew her off. The reason, she says, was that he said he couldn't do anything about Jacobs since he was important to Garcetti. Seligman wrote in a statement, "Senators should be outraged that someone nominated to represent our country in a key diplomatic post would lie to their faces so brazenly." Garcetti is the U.S. ambassador to India. Garcetti declined to respond to questions about Seligman's accusations during a Monday press conference. But his office released a statement saying more than a dozen witnesses have testified under oath that he was never made aware of any improper behavior. Other accusations against Garcetti included those from a police officer and Garcetti's chief counsel. The mayor's office did not respond to requests for comment. Tesla received a recall notice saying that the heat pump in some of their vehicles could have problems defrosting the windows fast enough, impairing visibility. The recall will apply to almost 27,000 Tesla cars. NTD's Jason Blair brings us more.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration issued a recall for nearly 27,000 Tesla vehicles due to an issue with the cabin heating systems. The NHTSA is concerned that the heat pump might not be able to defrost the windshield quickly enough, cutting visibility and increasing the risk of a crash. Tesla says it has not heard of any crashes or injuries tied to the heat pump problem. This is the latest of 3 recalls for the electric vehicle maker in 2022. According to documents posted by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, this issue, like the others, will be fixed by Tesla with a software update. Earlier this year, there were issues regarding a seatbelt chime problem and with the full self-driving software rolling through stop signs and not coming to a complete halt. The NHTSA also says in the recall notice that a software error can cause a valve in the vehicle's heat pumps to open unintentionally, trapping refrigerant inside the evaporator. That can reduce defrosting performance. The problem can deplete the refrigerant in some parts of the heat pump, causing the compressor to stop working as a fail-safe measure. That can cause loss of cabin heating, largely when it's minus 14 degrees Fahrenheit or colder. Jason Blair, NTD News, California.
Apple has a new way for its customers to make payments. The tech giant says later this year it will introduce the Tap to Pay feature. To process a payment, merchants just hold their iPhone next to the customer's iPhone or Apple Watch. This new option will also work for contactless credit and debit cards. Tap to Pay will only work for iPhone XS models and those that come afterward. Right now, Apple says about 90% of US retailers accept Apple Pay. Analysts say this is an attempt from Apple to try to compete with other payment services. A Southern California couple shared an intimate view of their living space atop a pine tree over 100 feet above the ground. The catch is, they're both bald eagles. The 2 eagles reside next to Big Bear Lake in the mountains outside of Los Angeles. Their nest is 145 feet above the ground. Streaming video from the Friends of Big Bear Valley showed the female, named Jackie, tending to her eggs. The male, Shadow, later joins her and takes her place. Last year, the couple also laid 2 eggs, but unfortunately neither chick survived. But they have a new pair this year. One of the eggs was laid on January 22nd, while the second came 2 days later. Friends of Big Bear Valley say the chicks should hatch in late February. Now we'll take it over to NTD's Thomas Christian for sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, taking you through the California Today Sports Roundup. With COVID-19 cases receding and spirits rising, Los Angeles is set to party hard ahead of Sunday's Super Bowl with its biggest slate of events since the pandemic hit nearly 2 years ago. In West Hollywood, John Terzian, co-founder of the Hollywood Group, is overseeing construction of a temporary venue for a star-studded 2-night event featuring pop star Justin Bieber on Friday and special guest Drake on Saturday. The Los Angeles native said the energy in the city is at an all-time high. A vaccine card or negative coronavirus test is required to enter the invite-only party at the Pacific Design Center. But once inside, he hopes to offer people an escape from the COVID-induced malaise. The theme of the Hollywood Group and fashion retailer Revolve's party is Homecoming Weekend, as the championship game returns to Los Angeles for the first time in nearly 3 decades. Sunday will mark the 8th time the region has hosted the NFL's big show, including the first Super Bowl in 1967. In the Fashion District, Uncommon Events founder Seth Kaplan is on day 10 of the build-out of a 150,000 square foot retro-futuristic pop-up venue on an empty parking lot for a 2-night Maxim and DirecTV bash, hosted by 50 Cent. And featuring performances by Gunna, Lil Baby, Tiesto, and the Chainsmokers, the event is expected to draw 3,000 people each night. Kaplan said the demand from partygoers and sponsors was so strong that he had to add the second night, especially after the hometown LA Rams punched their ticket to the NFL season finale. Giannis Antetokounmpo compiled 44 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists as the visiting Milwaukee Bucks extended their winning streak to 4 games with a 131-116 win over the Los Angeles Lakers on Tuesday. Bobby Portis added 23 for Milwaukee, which shot 54.2% and led by as many as 30 points in the third quarter. Chris Middleton added 21, Jrue Holiday had 15 and 10 assists, and Grayson Allen added 12 points. For the hometown Lakers, LeBron James led with 27 points and dished out 8 dimes. Anthony Davis had 22 and 9 rebounds, while Malik Monk scored 20, and Stanley Johnson added 16. Los Angeles lost for the 5th time in the past 7 games, while Milwaukee moved to a season-high 14 games over 500. Lakers 116, Bucks 131. Ja Morant scored 30 points, Jaren Jackson Jr. recorded 26 and 11, and host Memphis cruised to a season sweep of the Los Angeles Clippers. Morant shot 12 of 19 to pace the Grizzlies to a 51.5% shooting night, and he extended his run of 30-point games to 9 in the last 10 outings. 6 Grizzlies scored in double figures. Isaiah Hartenstein shot 7 of 11 and led the Clippers with 19 points. Norman Powell scored 16, but he made just 1 field goal in the second half. Grizzlies 135, Clippers 109. Minnesota matched a season high with its 6th straight win, riding 25 points from Karl Anthony Towns and 21 from reserve Malik Beasley to a shellacking of host Sacramento. The action was the first for the Kings since they dealt star second-year guard Tyrese Halliburton and long-distance shooting standout Buddy Hield to the Indiana Pacers in a 6-player deal focused on Sacramento acquiring Domantas Sabonis. However, Sabonis was unavailable against the Timberwolves. Returning from an 8-game absence caused by a sore left ankle, De'Aaron Fox covered Sacramento for a game-high 29 points. He also found time for 7 rebounds and the team-high 6 assists. Harrison Barnes just totaled 21 points for the Kings. Harrison Barnes added another 21 points for the Kings. Timberwolves 134, Kings 114. As always, I'm Thomas Christian, and thanks for tuning in.
That's everything for the evening. We'll be back tomorrow with more California Today at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news tips or ideas for the show, reach out to us right now. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm Daniel Hall. Have a wonderful evening.